Welcome back to the program. So it looks like President Trump has said, and of course, Russ Vought will put into action the cuts, the spending cuts, and more than anything else, the personnel and federal worker cuts. And yes, we are going to be concentrating almost solely on Democrats and, of course, left leaning policies, agencies, spending, whatever it may be. So, my only thing is, did you wait till day 10 or 11? Why didn't you do it on day 1? All they had to do was say, you want to shut down the government? Okay, fine. I tell you what, I'm going to order Russ Vought to fire 100,000 federal workers every single day that it's closed. And again, we know it doesn't really close. And that's it. You would have had 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. Shit, you would have had 1 million federal workers by now, folks. 1 million. And guess what? We never would have got to that point because they would have known that he wasn't bluffing, and they would have fired the first day 100,000. Oh, Trump will never do that. 100,000 gone. Believe me, they would have reopened the government on day 2, okay? Day 3, the absolute latest. But again, I don't care. Let it stay. As long as the military gets paid and things like that. We're still building the wall. They just did a $4.5 billion project, was just approved. So they're building more wall right now during the shutdown. And so they're cutting agencies. They have gutted NIH. Again, they got rid of all these extra people. The Department of Education is like pretty much almost nothing. There's like no one in it anymore. So they're continuing to do this gutting, thankfully, and I'm glad that they are. But I wanted to talk about something different, and that is that there's an very, very, very important Supreme Court case that is coming up, and hopefully they do the right thing, because if they do, Republicans are going to be able to gain a minimum, probably more like 27, but a minimum of 19 seats. All right? Let me explain what this is all about. Now, Politico is the source, so it might be a little left-leaning in the way it's written, so you understand. Republicans could draw 19 more House seats after an upcoming Supreme Court ruling. Many experts are forecasting the end of a key provision of the election law enabling Republicans to shore up their advantage in the House, according to a new report. What they are referring to is the Civil Rights Act. Democratic voting rights groups are preparing for a nightmare scenario if the Supreme Court guts a key part of the landmark civil rights era legislation, the Voting Rights Act, a very real possibility this term. Ahead of the court's October 15th rehearing of Louisiana versus Calais, a case that has major implications for the Voting Rights Act, 2 voting rights groups are sounding the alarm bells, warning that eliminating Section 2, a provision that prohibits racial gerrymandering when it dilutes minority voting power, would let Republicans redraw up to 19 House seats and as many as 27 to favor the party and crush minority representation in Congress. Again, this is Politico, so of course there's a left-leaning bent and slant to it. That calculation, made in a new report from Fair Fight Action, another left-wing organization, and Black Voters Matter Fund, again, another leftist organization, shared exclusively with Politico, would all but guarantee Republican control of Congress. That's right. While a ruling in time for next year's midterms is more than unlikely, the organization behind the report said that it's not out of the question entirely. Taken together, the group identified 27 total seats that Republicans could redistrict in their favor ahead of the midterms, 19 of which stem from Section 2 being overturned. Doing so would, quote, clear the path for a one-party system where power serves the powerful and silences the people. Of course, Black Votes Matter Fund co-founder LaTosha Brown said in a statement. Without Section 2, up to 30% of the Congressional Black Caucus and 11% of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus could be drawn out of their seats. Bye-bye. See you later. Republicans have long sought to dismantle this portion of the Voting Rights Act, which generally prohibits race-based discrimination in voting laws and practices, arguing that it gives Democrats a partisan advantage. And yes, it does, okay? Because they can say, well, because more blacks or more Hispanics or more Asians or more whatever live in a certain area, well, then therefore it's not based on their merit, it's not based on their skill set or their experience. No, it's based on their gender, their ideology, their orientation. And that is all garbage, okay? And quite frankly, it's racist against white people and white voters. And so the reality is that you ought to be judged, whether you're black, white, green, Hispanic, polka dot, or glow in the dark, based on your ability. What is your message? What do you want to do for the American people? What are you going to give to freedom and liberty and prosperity? I don't care if you're black, white, green, purple, or orange. It doesn't matter. It's what's in your heart that matters. It's what's in your soul that matters. Are you going to be a left-wing dingbat and look for, globalists and everything else and go against the Constitution? I don't want you. I don't care what color you are. You're not welcome. You're not welcome in my Congress, which, by the way, I pay for as a taxpayer. I pay your salaries. Don't forget that. So the bottom line is, let's remove that. Let's go to a meritocracy-based society for everything. Let's get rid of this race-based bullshit and go to a meritocracy. Do you have the skill set? Do you have the experience? Are you qualified for whatever it is that you may want to do? You want to be a member of Congress? Fine. Go ahead and run. But have good ideas. Don't just run because you're black or Hispanic or glow in the dark or whatever the hell you might be and not have the qualifications nor I should say, the adherence to rule of law and the Constitution. So I love this. I think it's great. In redistricting, the law is used to protect against racial gerrymandering that would dilute the voting power of racial and ethnic minority voters. Again, Politico, so it's garbage. States across the country routinely seek to comply with the law by drawing congressional districts where minority voters can elect their chosen candidates. This is nothing more than BET, Black Entertainment Television. What if we had white entertainment television? It'd be an uproar. I mean, you flip through so many of these social media things, and it's like black-owned businesses or Hispanic-owned this, or stories about these types of people and not these types of people. And now we're even finding out, even in the left, they're even saying, black only to go to a certain rally, or Hispanic only, or whatever. The ones that talk about segregation are the racists. Republicans are not doing it. It's the Democrats, the old racists, right? The old segregationist Democrats. Well, guess what? That spirit that lives deep inside of them has never gone away. Many election lawyers expect a narrowing of the VRA. God, I hope so. Please, God, get rid of Section 2. Give the Supreme Court the wisdom to not do decisions based on race and rather on meritocracy. Amen. Let's hope that it is removed. Because you know what? There's probably a lot of people that are pretty bad people that shouldn't be in Congress, shouldn't be representing anyone. They should be in a jail cell, probably most of them. And so therefore, let's get rid of them and let's have more freedom. And yes, if that means having a permanent majority, well, then so be it, because that's what we should have. Okay, and then it says, this will lead to sweeping changes to congressional delegations in the South. Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi could all have their Democratic members ousted. Louisiana, Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, and Florida would likely each retain at least one Democratic member, but their delegations would get very, very small, according to the report. The report comes as Republicans have embarked on a nationwide map shuffle ahead of the midterm elections, and then, of course, they go into slamming Texas and all that other stuff. The bottom line is, this is a good thing. And it's a good thing because this means that we're going to take people that are not supposed to be in these positions, that are only there not for the content of their character, but rather by the color of their skin, or their sexual orientation, or whatever other garbage that they can come up with, and that's why they were put into these positions. These left-wingers, regardless of their stars and stripes and colors and orientation and everything else, they should not be representing anyone. They have infiltrated Congress. I've said that on numerous occasions. And therefore, all we're doing is we are righting the ship. We are basically taking the race-based garbage out of the process to where you're going to have to win elections based on something called, meritocracy. Yeah, it's not going to be a foreign word too much anymore in America moving forward. At least that's what I hope. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.